Okay, I am going to make this recap quick because I am currently playing catch up. But Lord knows this show is getting good. So let's talk about it. So here's my takeaway from this episode of All American Homecoming. For one, I love how Thea is always around to humble Simone, always let her know that everything isn't about her, because Simone tends to think that it is for some odd reason. So that is always pleasing to me. But more importantly, I love that we are getting more into Thea, because for the longest the narrative has been being pushed that she is the unlikable person that only cares about what's going on to make her great. And I mean, that's very much true.
Practice like Simone, not everything's about you.
So in this episode, we found out that she was homeschooled, which in all honesty makes so much sense to why she acts the way she does and why it's hard for her to make friends outside of tennis. Hell, even within the tennis world, it's hard for her to make bonds because of how self-absorbed she is with her future. But moving on in the show, Thea is supposed to go on a date, but she is socially awkward and admits to never being on a date before. So she is struggling to find her footing with getting to know the guy her grandma set her up with. So Simone is going to help her with that. All I know is, Thea, girl, you better learn how to have a life outside of tennis and find some balance, because it won't be around forever. But like I was saying, knowing Thea was homeschooled makes me appreciate her storyline so much more, because I love how we are getting to see a character outside of the element she was raised in and used to, and the fact that we are going to see her go through obstacles and break down the wall she has built up over time is beyond important.
It sucks to feel like the outsider and be mocked for it. Not that you know.
And let me just throw this random thought out there, but I think Thea and Damon may have a little moment on the show. And I have thought about this for a while. When him and Thea and Simone had a group project together, there was a moment I was like, I can see them building a little love connection, or one of them catching feelings. And now in this episode, I feel the same way, but that's just a thought. And I also find it crazy that when Kim and Damon were trying to give her some advice on dating and who picks up the first date check, the conversation quickly turned into a debate about consent or whatnot. It was a lot going on. All I know is, if you are asking me on a date, I am expecting you, the man, to pick up the check with no expectations of me, quote unquote, putting out. But that's just me.
See who else is here putting in that work.
So moving on to Simone really quick, because she wasn't really that relevant this episode, but she definitely had her moments. But I just want to say this. Simone has the tendency to be a very confusing person. And granted, she has a very confusing life compared to other students. But my God, girl. In this episode, Simone finds out that Tyreek and Chanel are going to be coming into town for a wedding. Now, Tyreek and Chanel are the parents that adopted her son, but has allowed her to stay in his life. But when she received the news, one would think she would be happy, especially knowing she's been missing that baby. But no, she was acting all shocked and sad. Weird like. I think it's because she is now getting settled at the school and building a reputation for herself. She doesn't want to ruin it with people finding out she has a child. But it's like, girl, Simone, please, this is college and y'all are grown and everyone has problems. No one is perfect. And them finding out about your situation is the perfect time for you to find out who is your real ride-or-die friends, to be honest. So while talking to her aunt about her thoughts on it coming out, she says she's not ashamed and knows she made the right decision, and eventually she decides to quote unquote live in her truth and tell her friends, with Damon being the first person she tells, being that he was the one she saw first. Now the thing is, before she could get off what she has to say, Damon starts expressing to her how he requested the adoption records from the state and received them, but he doesn't want to open them up, being that he feels some type of way that his mom gave him up so easily.
I don't know, I keep thinking, like, what kind of mom gives up her kid?
Simone was already hesitating about telling her college friend group, but after Damon said what he said, it made her hold off again. Because of course she doesn't want anyone to think she's a bad mom, person, or parent, being that she decided to give up her child. And she definitely don't want Damon to feel any type of way comparing her to his mom. But at the end of the day, Simone, you were a child and you made the best decision for you and your baby. And you still have the privilege to be in his life. That's an honor. But Damon just didn't help the situation at all. But to his defense, he didn't know. I feel like the moment Damon expressed his feelings about what type of mom gives up their kid, it should have been the moment Simone broke everything down to him, because I think her response would have allowed Damon to have an understanding of his situation and allow her to open up about hers, killing two birds with one stone. But like I said, I totally get the hesitation. But eventually, towards the end, she finally gets the courage to tell Keisha, Nate, and Thea about her baby boy. And it's so funny because Keisha and Nate felt relieved she finally told them. And they told her that they've been found out a while ago and was holding on to it until she was ready to tell them. And I just love that moment because they really are some true good friends. Even though I didn't expect anything less than a happy and supportive reaction from them anyways. Now, in the midst of her telling them, Damon overhears, and of course, he gets in his feelings and runs off. So, of course, she ran after him to explain, and he told her that she didn't need to, and he understands that if she did what she did, it was for a good reason, which to me makes him a big contradiction because that's not what he feels about his own situation. And I get it may seem or feel different being that he is the adopted child, but I think if he can understand Simone's reasoning, he can give whoever he sees on that document the same satisfaction or justification. Even though eventually we found out the results of the record he received was empty because there was no record of adoption for him in the state of Georgia. It's gonna be something going on with that right there. Now let me get into poor JR because he is really going through it ever since he found out his parents were getting a divorce, which I expected, which is why I was upset with his mom and dad last episode because they both felt him emotionally when they didn't show up for him how they needed to, when they knew they had horrific news to give him. And although JR is old enough to understand that relationships don't last all the time, it's different when it's your parents that have been married for years and you was raised under their love as a unit. Now, because JR is currently in a traumatic state, child, he is turning up and out here drunk in these Braxton streets, child. He is mentally out of it and coping with alcohol, which is never good. So Damon was the first person to try and reason with JR, but JR totally tuned him out. And that's when Damon decided to call JR's dad. And to be honest, at first I said to myself, now why would he do that? But then I thought about it, and it really was a smart decision on Damon's part because JR needs to talk to his parents and get an understanding because he can't keep, moping around campus and acting a fool because his feelings hurt. He only get 2 days of that. That's it. But to be honest, in a way, Damon had me upset because I feel like he was going so hard for JR because that's his friend. But really, mainly, because I think he was trying to avoid the issue of opening up them files he got for his adoption records. I felt like he was trying to use JR problems as a scapegoat, and I cannot stand when people have their own issues to battle but decide to play hero when they feel like they can't help someone else just to make themselves feel better or to forget about their own troubles. Granted, I get you want to help your friend, but damn, help yourself too and handle your situation and stop delaying it because it's not going nowhere.
My parents splitting is family business. You want family. Listen.
So then Simone found out what was going on with JR, and she felt like she could be the one to bring him back to his senses as well. I guess, child. Damon felt some way about that because he believed that they had a little secret thing going on and he was making the accusations to Simone. And I just wanted to slap him across his head because, boy, she has a whole boyfriend, which is why she didn't take it there with you. So what makes you think she's going to take it there with JR? I swear his jealousy and obsession with Simone is starting to get the best of him. And he has the nerves to say he can read people. Well, maybe you need to find another book because that ain't it, sir. And I just want to know, who made Simone the Ayanna Fits My Life guru of the friend group when she's just as confused and lost as everyone else? I am just dumbfounded, child. But I guess. And on top of all of that, she told Damon that JR could be his brother. Now, when Simone tried to talk to JR, he was drunk and in a whole nother world. So I don't get why she was trying to have a civilized conversation of importance with him as if he's supposed to care in that state. Like, he already doesn't care, but it's heightened with the alcohol. So that was just a bust. Along with Simone and Damon, Nate tried to have a conversation with JR as well. And the thing is, Nate was telling JR that he'd been through the same situation before. But JR was not trying to hear that at all. But when he did finally come to his senses and spoke with Nate, he was able to give him a real and clear answer. And I love that because who would have thought it would have been Nate giving JR advice? I love that whole thing. Now, at first, I thought they was going to try to have a moment where JR got drunk and started hitting on Nate. And I was going to be upset about that because it just didn't and wouldn't have made sense in this moment. But that wasn't the case, and Nate was really trying to help him. So moving on in the show, we got some steaming good from Coach Marcus and Amara. Let me just say this. I think it's so funny how Coach Marcus and Amara are adults and professionals in the show, but they damn near got just as much childish drama as the students. That is beyond me. But to be honest, once you reach a certain age, all the drama is the same anyways. Okay, in the episode, Marcus and Amara got locked in the gym together because the lights and electricity went out in the school. Boy, I tell you, that is some true HBCU mess right there, okay? But with them being locked in with one another, they couldn't avoid having a conversation that Marcus has been trying to run from. And baby, he kept trying to be friendly with her, but she was laying him out on the silver platter, and I loved every bit of it because the audacity of him to think she should forget the past and move on. Boy, no. Especially with him continuing being all up in her face, trying to hit on her. No. So he finally told Amara why he ended things with her. And to be honest, I don't know why he was holding on to it anyways, especially being that they are grown. But anyway, child, he told her that Tina, her sister, who is also Simone's mom, put in his head that he wasn't good enough for Amara. And because what the sister ingrained in his mind, he jeopardized their relationship by ending things once he left the minor leagues. But call me harsh, I just feel like that was a poor excuse because he should have manned up for what he wanted. Because Amara told him he was always good enough for her, but had he given her the opportunity to tell him that during that time, he would have known and it could still be them. I just hate that he gave into the negativity of what her sister was putting into him and never gave Amara the benefit of the doubt because of his own shattered ego. Men need to learn how to not make choices for women. It's unfair and quite dated, to be honest. So after having their little moment, Coach Marcus thought he was going to be able to take Amara out on a date, but she nipped that in the bud real quick and told him that she's not trying to get back into things with him, which is understandable, but deep down, she wants to give it another go. I know she does. Hell, I want her to. Now, to end off this recap, I have to say, who told the producers it was okay to add Kim singing in this episode? When I say I was shocked and laughed so hard because that was so unexpected and random. And if the shock effect is what they wanted, they sure got it. Oh, and that choreography Keisha was performing for the dance competition was so mediocre. I wish they would have, went harder than that because the setup and the music was on point. The moves were not. But that's the, end of my rant. And you already know what it is and how it goes down over here. Like this video and show your girl some love. Comment your thoughts and let's discuss what we thought of this episode and where we want things and where we think things are heading. And last but certainly not least, subscribe and join the queen, baby. Bye.